Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. We're calling this meeting to order, the Neighborhood Partners Fund Grant Board, on this day of July 1st, 2020 at, let me get my, 2:08. Jackie, could you please take roll call?
Member Toussaint?
Here.
Member Christensen?
Here.
Member Quayle?
Here.
Member Bonaventura?
Present.
Member Schultz?
Present.
Member Jackson-Renter?
Here.
Member Kress? Excused. Member Iturralde? Excused. Member Tramp?
Here.
Member Helgeline?
Present.
Member Foray?
Here.
Member Stonebarger?
Present.
Member Ramirez?
Present.
Thank you.
Okay. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, come forward and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion as well as the amount of time and any single speaker is allowed may be limited. Anybody here? No? Okay, let's move on.
Excuse me, Alma. One thing we just need to make sure that, this is Brian over here. Just need to make sure we're in compliance with the open meeting law.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did miss that part, huh? Jackie, are we in compliance with the open meeting law?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. Okay, so do I need to repeat the public comment? Okay, yeah? Repeat it, okay. Public comment. During this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, come forward and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. Anybody? No? Okay, move on. For possible action to approve the final minutes by reference of the regular meetings of June 4th, 11th, and 18th of 2019.
Member
We move
Bonaventura.
to approve the minutes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the June 4th, 11th, and 18th, 2019 agenda, or meeting, sorry.
Anybody second that?
I second it. Larry Schultz, Ward 6.
Okay, approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Post? Approved. No, opposed? Anybody opposed? No, okay, let's move forward.
Are we voting more orally or by hand?
This is City Attorney Brian Scott. You're actually voting via the buttons on your, nope. Oh, okay. Well, I guess you're voting orally. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on. Discussion for possible action regarding the election of chair and vice chair. Anybody want to nominate anybody?
Member Christensen? I'd like to nominate Gail Quayle as chairman of the committee this year.
Member Bonaventura, I'd like to nominate Larry Schultz as vice chair.
This is City Attorney Brian Scott. Let's do one at a time. Let's do chair first. Any other nominations for the chair position? Okay, nominations closed.
Okay, nomination closed. Let's go for vice chair.
Member Bonaventura, I'd like to nominate Member Schultz as vice chair.
This is City Attorney Brian Scott. Any additional nominations for vice chair? Okay, nominations closed.
All right, chair, can take this on, the agenda?
Let's, if we could just have a vote on both the
Oh,
chair
I'm
and vice
sorry.
chair.
On chair? Let's
Member
vote.
Bonaventura, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Member Quayle as chair and Member Schultz as vice chair.
Okay,
Member Stonebarger, second. Aye.
Aye.
okay. Opposed?
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay. Chair? Number 6.
Okay. Review of the bylaws and responsibilities of the Neighborhood Partners Fund Board pertaining to the project selection process and agenda items.
Madam Chair, if I could just, City Attorney Brian Scott, just to remind everyone before you speak, if you
Your
could just
name.
announce your name, just because, so the clerk has a clear record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and this is Alma Estrada. I'm just going to chime in on the bylaws. I emailed everybody the bylaws for their review. Any comments?
Any questions?
Okay, we can move on.
Okay. Member Quayle, 7, review of the Neighborhood Partners Fund Board's program guidelines.
Alma Estrada chiming in on that one. I emailed the board members the program guidelines as well.
Member Quayle, any questions, comments? Okay. Move on, number 8, review of the fiscal year 2020-2021 applicant presentation summary worksheet and rating sheet, evaluation criteria.
Alma Estrada, staff, I'm chiming in as well. I also emailed the board members the summary worksheet, which describes the description of the project, the award it's in, the name of the group, and the amount they requested, the minimum amount they're requesting, and the match amount. And I also emailed the rating sheet as well. Any comments?
Member Quayle, I have a question on, between the sheet that we received that's printed, you know, this actual sheet, and then actually in the Zoom grants application list, there's a little bit of difference on some of them in the application request that's on the summary and that's on the Zoom grants. I'm assuming Zoom grants seems to be the one that is usually accurate, so I just wanted to, if there's a
You're right.
discrepancy.
The Zoom grants is the one that's accurate. I usually copy from the Zoom grants onto the sheet, but
Okay.
I might have made a mistake, I'm not sure.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that if there were any discrepancies, that Zoom grant is,
Yeah.
I mean, you can check it with their documents.
You want to
but-
go by what's on the Zoom grants, because that
Okay.
is their application.
Okay.
My apologies.
Nope, that's okay. Just wanted to make sure. Any other comments or questions? No? Okay. 9, discussion for possible action regarding neighborhood leaders' presentation schedule for July 1st, 2020 and July 2nd, 2020.
Alma Estrada staff, I put a copy of the presentation schedule in front of your computer.
Any questions or comments? Member Schultz?
Larry Schultz, Ward 6. So when the applicants are going to speak to the group, since we're spaced all the way out, rather than a small conference room, where exactly will they be presenting?
Right there.
Okay. Okay, so and they'll, for the other people, then you'll all have to turn around or
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the best we can do.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Member Quayle, the one thing, and I had brought this up when we had our meeting, our video meeting, just, I know that in the past, when we're having people do presentations and there's any kind of a discrepancy, like if the numbers don't match completely or this or that, that we just be consistent with all of the applicants versus one time. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time or not, but
Can I make a comment?
we've had that
on
discussion
Can I
before,
comment
but
on that?
So
Okay.
this is Larry Schultz, Ward 6. Are you saying then we should ask questions or not ask questions, or I'm not understanding?
well, I know that you've had some concerns, brought up some concerns about it before, but for example, if the, say the budget worksheet doesn't work out exactly right to the volunteers or to this or to that, then, you know, sometimes we've gone ahead and said that that's okay, and sometimes it doesn't. So it's just, had said that to make sure that going forward that we're consistent. If we're going to do it in this whole process for one, we're going to treat the same, all the others the same way.
That's more than reasonable. Thank you.
Okay.
Member Bonaventura, I do a motion to approve the schedule, presentation schedule for July 1st and July 6th.
Second?
Second, Matthew Tramp, Ward 1.
Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 10, presentations on Neighborhood Partners Fund Board Grant Program applications submitted by the, oh, wait a minute, sorry, Top Neighborhood Association. Do I need to go through these?
Madam Chair,
We're
you
going
can
to just do these, yeah. we're
you can
gonna
just
do
call
they
them
come,
as
yeah.
they're scheduled.
Okay, that's what I was, sorry about that, guys, I wasn't expecting.
Madam Chair,
Give me a minute.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
City Attorney Brian Scott, can you, just for the clerk's office, just read the item in its entirety, and then Alma will bring the groups in individually?
so read the whole thing,
Yep,
okay,
just-
like I
if you could
was,
just read-
okay.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Submitted by the Aurora Top Neighborhood Association, Aviana HOA, El Camino Community Association, Rainbow Park Neighborhood Association, Beverly Green Neighborhood Association, Buffalo Coalition Neighborhood Association, Crestwood Neighborhood Association, Turning Point Community Association, Desert Racket Club HOA, Minetta Lane HOA, and Las Vegas Meadows Community Crusaders.
There's your mic. It's on right now. If it's red, it's on. And then, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Hi,
Welcome.
thank you. Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to meet with you and speak to you today. I am the president of the Aurora Top Neighborhood Association. We are located off of,
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, if we could just have your name first for the
Oh, sure.
record, and then go
Sure.
through. Thank you.
Denise Reitz, R-E-I-T-Z. And I'm the president of the Neighborhood Association, and then this is
And-
Amanda Barr.
Yes, I'm Amanda Barr. I'm the coordinator for the association.
Okay, thank you. So we are located off of Oki, right across the street from the Opportunity Village. We're between Torrey Pines and Jones, in that neighborhood there. And last year, you were gracious enough to grant us the $5,000 that we used for our block party, and we had a big sign, we have signage put up in our neighborhood to let everyone know that they are entering and are inclusive in our neighborhood association of the Aurora Top. So thank you for that. This year, what we're asking for, and I'm sure that you have the information there in front of you, but we're asking for a total of $2,849.71, of which $2,423.50 will be for our block party. We're hoping to have that in October as well, as we did last year. It was very well received last year. It was our first year. We did have some opposition. We did have some neighbors that were not very happy. What is this neighborhood association? Are you trying to make it so if people have to pay dues and things like that? So we had a little bit of obstacles that we had to go through, but with the help of Alma and the City Council, Brian Knudsen, we're actually able to talk to those people that were having those issues and overcome that. Since then, we did have a meeting at the library in January, and it was packed. And we had a very great meeting. That's where I enlisted Amanda as our coordinator to help out with any type of events that we want to have, because it was just the president and the secretary and a couple of the board members that were trying to do everything. So now we have a secretary who started a website for our neighborhood. So this is yay. I'm so happy about that. So back to what we're asking for, the total, again, is $2,849.71. $49.91 is going to go to Smart and Final, just for paper products, et cetera, for a party. And we want to update our neighborhood watch signs. Our neighborhood was established back in '78, so it's a little bit dated, but some of the signs are at least 20 to 25 years old. Some of them are actually really dilapidated, and they need to be updated. So we're asking for that. That's $316.30. And then, of course, during the summer months and the winter months, we're hoping to have our meeting again for our neighbors at the library, and it's $30 every time we have a meeting at the library. So that's a total of $2849.71. Amanda?
Well, since I've joined, we've tried to build up community knowledge, and the people that are actually involved and excited about the community, and just kind of being more old school is what the way I like to define it, is getting to know your neighbors more. In an effort to do that, I'm very involved in doing the Nextdoor app, along with the Ring app, and we created a Facebook page, and so I'm kind of organizing different ways to get the community involved there. There are still several neighbors that are opposed to an association because we all moved into our neighborhood because there's not a homeowners association, because we don't have to have someone telling us about how tall the weeds have to be, or if we have a plant in our yard that's not supposed to be there. And I think so many people are concerned with that we're trying to push the neighborhood into that. So I think there's still a lot of education, which is why we have the Facebook page and why we want to have the block party again, is because the block party people will drive by, stop, say, hey, what are you guys doing here? And we can tell them, hey, we want to build a community. We don't want your money. We don't want to tell you how to live or what to do. But we want to get to know you and build it, which is going to create a stronger neighborhood watch as well. So all of the things that we're asking for is kind of a twofold with multiple intentions and trying to just get to know our neighborhood a whole lot better.
One other thing I'd like to mention is Brian Knudsen, he was passing these out to his ward. It's got all the information for people who are concerned, like what numbers do I call if I have this issue or this issue. So we're going to be passing this out at the picnic. I've already gotten as many as 100 of these, so I'm really happy about that. They're magnets. They can just go on your refrigerator, emergency numbers, et cetera. And hopefully, we can have this block party. We know that there's probably going to have the masks and the 6 feet, but we're willing to do that. We're willing to do what it takes to get to make sure our neighbors are taken care of. I do know that there are several neighbors in our neighborhood that are elderly who cannot get out of their house. They actually require food assistance. They actually require, personal help. And so what we wanted to do with the food that's left over, like last year, we actually bring some of that food to those people in the neighborhoods. So, any questions?
I'd like to open up to Member Quayle to questions from.
Member Bonaventura. So there was another group that I was looking through, and on their signs, their neighborhood watch signs, they had put in on their budget 4 brackets to mount the signs. Would you just be reusing the brackets that are already?
Oh, the brackets you're saying?
Yeah, so would you be reusing the brackets that are already there, or would you need to purchase those to mount those signs?
That's a great question. Actually, I enlisted the city to actually replace those, so the city will take care of that. That's what I'm being told.
Okay, so in the budget, you had $316 for the signs. Are they mounting them? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, they're already.
But you're purchasing the signs.
All it is purchasing the signs.
Okay.
Because they put everything up. They put the brackets and everything. Just like last year when we actually got the Aurora top neighborhood signs, the city actually put the brackets and everything up. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Schultz, Ward 6. So you said and if I misunderstood, please correct me, you said you enlisted the city to provide the brackets?
Well, I have a person of contact through the city that takes care of that. We actually, last year, we drove around to the different streets of where we wanted to put the signs for our neighborhood association. And I just call him. He says, I have to get approved, you have to go through a couple of hoops to get everything done. But I didn't enlist them. I asked, okay, this is what we're going to do. We have an application that we submitted also through this process, and you have to submit why you want it and how many signs you want, and then they contact me or Amanda and say, okay, where did you want the new signs and where are the existing signs, and then we just tell them what streets and whatnot.
So is it correct to say you don't have a hard date commitment at this time? Or you do have a date commitment to have that done?
For the signs? No, we don't have a hard commitment yet, because we have to get it approved that we're going to get the money.
Right.
Then we submit the applications to the city, and then they say, okay, they get back to me, and then we go through that process.
But do you foresee any difficulty in getting that?
No, not at all.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And good luck with the event, and it sounds like a lot of fun.
It was a great amount of fun last year, and we hope to have the same amount of people or more show up.
Good, thank you.
Okay,
Member Ramirez, over here to the left. Hi, Darren.
Oh, hi.
So I'm looking at your invoice for El Gringo, and it says it includes, napkins, plates, and utensils. I'm just curious to why Smart and Final, you also have knives, forks, and utensils in that invoice too.
Well, last year, it was a great, we found out that people, when we're delivering some food or if people want to take food home, we didn't have enough plates, we didn't have enough utensils. So that's why we're going to do this. People were taking food to their neighbors, and they take a plate and they put another plate on top of it to transport it. So that's what happened, yeah. We want to make sure that we don't run out and we're scrambling. Thank you.
Member Toussaint, I'd just like to applaud you for what you're doing. This is how communities are built, from the bottom up. You're doing exactly right. You start off with one thing and you grow it up. So I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any other questions?
Member Jackson Renter, I just have a question. Just regarding the Black Party, what extra safety precautions or PPE measures are you taking to draw neighbors to this event?
I'm sorry, I did not understand the question.
So I was reading that you're trying to do a block party, the Black
Yes.
Party, and you said you had a huge draw before. So I'm just asking, what type of extra measures are you putting in place during this COVID-19 pandemic just to ensure neighbors feel comfortable to come out?
Sure. If we are still mandated for the masks and the 6 feet, we have an area, we are fortunate enough in our area, at the very end of O'Bannon, closest to Jones, it's actually blocked off. It's a dead end. And we have this huge area of 2 homes that face Piccolo. I don't know if you have a map or whatever, but Piccolo faces west. O'Bannon runs east and west, okay? Where Jones stops, O'Bannon will stop, and then there's like this, I don't know, it's like a desert type area, and then there's businesses on the other side that face Jones. So we have this whole area that we can utilize, and we have tables. We've enlisted people last year to bring their tables, bring their chairs. We have easy ups and whatnot. Now, I'm sure everybody has masks now. Obviously, it's mandated to wear masks, so I'm going to put on the emails. If it's still required, please make sure that you bring your masks or have masks. And then bring enough chairs, everyone bring chairs, because we're going to have it all staged out. I have thought of quite a bit about that. So we have a nice, huge area. It's almost as big as this whole, if you were to take your whole area where you guys are all sitting, it's this big, just in this one section, and then we've got the rest of the street on Piccolo to utilize as well. So it's a big, huge area.
Yep. And even if we do, when we do have the block party, we'll have information, flyers and pamphlets, the magnets, that people can just take and go home with them. So they don't even have to stay there. We would like to get to know our neighbors, but we understand right now everything is not normal. So if people want to just grab their food and go, at least they're understanding, hey, we got free food. Maybe we'll listen, maybe we'll attend the next meeting. And at that time, we should have at least an idea of when our next meeting should be, or we can give out information from the Facebook page and the website that people can seek. Right now, we have about 25 members on the Facebook page, that if we can get more people that show up to a block party, get them involved in the Facebook, we'll be able to expand a lot more knowledge that way, even if they just show up for a taco.
And currently, if I may add, we have approximately 125 homes that are on my web, or on my email. And it's evolving all the time. I'm always adding more names, because I'm getting out the word to everybody when I send out an email. I say, please talk to your neighbors next to you. I need more emails so that I can get more information, because we were sending out flyers and taping them to the outside of mailboxes. Well, we had a couple of complaints. Some of the neighbors said, that's ridiculous. People will know that I'm not home because I'm not kicking my flyer off my mailbox, so we stopped that. So all it is now is just by Facebook, the website, the emails, and then just try to talk to our neighbors. Now, part of this, one other thing I may add.
Member Quayle, I'm sorry, we're running close on time, so I just want to see if you want to finish up, and then if there's any other questions.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure, okay, thank you. And one other thing is, when we're talking to people, and I don't know if you know this, but in order to have a sign that says Neighborhood Watch, you have to have a block captain on that street per Las Vegas Metro. So we actually, I'm enlisting those block captains. This is your job, to talk to everybody on your street to let them know what's going on. So that's even more involvement. So that's why, we've really put a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of thought into this.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. You did a great job.
Thank you so
Good
much.
luck.
Thank you.
Alman?
Okay, that's fine, thank you.
Madam Chair? Assistant City Attorney, I'm sorry, I just got, City Attorney Brian Scott. Jackie can run the timer, and then when it gets near the end, it'll start beeping. Madam Chair, City Attorney Brian Scott again, Madam Chair. Madam Chair? Oh, so is it going to be 5 minutes for their presentation, then 5 minutes? Okay, just so we know, so that Jackie can run the timer. Thank you.
You'll need to use this mic here, and you'll want to go to the end one. And then how you work the mic is, right now it's on, but you can have it on. So as long as it's on, you can talk when you're ready, when they're ready. Okay? Any questions?
Chairman Quayle, welcome. We're going to have 5 minutes. I know we're kind of all spread out. It's a different thing for all of us, so bear with us. We're kind of spread out when people talk. We'll have to look. You're going to have 5 minutes for your presentation, and then after that, 5 minutes for questions from the board. And before you start, if you could introduce yourselves, that would be great for the record and for us.
Okay, quick question too. So with the PowerPoint that I did create, I know that's 8 minutes long. Aviana. Aviana, HOA. AVIANA. All right, and so that, I believe, is 8 minutes long. And it actually explains everything. On that presentation, there are speakers, and if you just scroll over the speaker, it should start each slide. So when you change slides, there's the little speaker up at the top. Can you scroll over it and play it? Yes.
So, Member Quayle, if,
Name.
do we want to,
We'll need her name.
Cammie Fuller, CAMMIEFULLER.
And I'm Kim Rick, R-I-E-C-K.
Good afternoon. My name is Cammie Fuller, and I'm the president of Aviana Homeowners Association. Dean Krametbauer, vice president, Kim Reich, homeowner, and myself would like to extend our gratitude for allowing us to come before your board for consideration of earning a Neighborhood Partners Fund grant in the amount of $5,000. It is our strong hope that this small PowerPoint presentation will clearly show you our purpose to improve the quality of life in our community by keeping our homeowners and their property safe from damage that could be caused by our yearly monsoon seasons. Thank you. And now we present Aviana HOA Drainage Ditch Renovation Repair Point 2. Built in 1996, Aviana is a 57 half-acre gated lot development on the northwest corner of Lone Mountain and Cimarron. The development has one main gate access to the community leading off of Lone Mountain onto Lanyon Drive. In early 2015, the Board of Directors were becoming concerned with the south perimeter wall and drainage ditch. At that time, the community was 18 years old. Over the 18 years, heavy downpour rains had evolved the positive drainage swell into a negative flow and buildup of debris. Repairing of the drainage ditch was inevitable to protect the perimeter wall and the road leading into the community. In 2016, the Board of Directors applied for the Mpf Grant and received $3,000 in renovating funds to apply towards the $22,000 cost to complete the renovation. These images were taken prior to the renovation. The bottom right-hand corner picture shows the west side of the entrance into Aviana. You can see the culvert that appears to be blocked of debris and rock, not allowing for positive water flow through the pipe that runs under the road that leads to the community. These next two images that we are looking at were taken after the renovation. Here you can see that the rock has been cleaned out and regraded, allowing for a positive water flow. As we look at this image here, you can see the oval culvert. This culvert runs under the road that leads into the community. Here we can clearly see that all of the debris has been cleared out so that it is allowing for positive water flow. The renovation was completed in 2017 and included removing and cleaning existing rock, clearing out culvert allowing for full access under entry road, excavating ditch to attain a positive flow, and returning the chunky rock and adding 25 tons of new rock. The renovation of the drainage swell on the south perimeter wall of Aviana was now completed. It was time to celebrate with the rest of the community the efforts put forth to complete the project. We held our first neighborhood picnic, which was simply a wonderful success. In 2018, 1 year after our renovation, the anticipated flood control plan set in place for Lone Mountain was started. This flood control plan to install new drainage pipes from the 215 Beltway completely down Lone Mountain was much needed and welcomed. Our board of directors were in contact with Osang Kwan, project manager with the Public Works Department, and Jerry Walker, operations maintenance director with the City of Las Vegas, during the developing stages of the flood control plan. In efforts to help our Aviana entrance and drainage swell, it was agreed upon that the Clark County Regional Flood Control Project would include 3 drop inlets east of our entryway and a catch basin just outside our breakaway gate. We were very fortunate and grateful to be working alongside Mr. Kwan and Mr. Walker to have these important things added. Pictured in the top left-hand corner is the original concrete slab designed to drain rainfall and water from within the community to the swell. Below, in the bottom right-hand photo, you will see where Jerry Walker, Director of Operations with the City of Las Vegas, agrees to replace the above concrete slab with a catch basin, allowing for it to be tied into the new Lone Mountain storm drain. The Clark County Regional Flood Project for the Lone Mountain Road was completed in spring of 2019. Our community is grateful for the work that was completed, including the full access entrance into our development, allowing for our homeowners to enter and exit from the east and west side of Lone Mountain. The 3 new drop inlets
Chairman Quayle,
and the catch
time
basin has
is
proven to
called.
have helped the flash flood.
All right. The most important one was the next slide. So my goal here, I had about 3 more minutes of the slide. If we could at least look at the slides, I'll try to work through it. I'm done with the presentation, so I can't even talk about that.
I'm
I had 3
Madam Chair.
minutes.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I just got became the city attorney. I keep saying assistant. City Attorney Brian Scott. If you want her to just explain briefly that part of her plan, you're welcome to do that if you want.
Okay, can you finish like 30 seconds, a minute?
Oh,
And then
I'll
we'll open up to
try,
questions? Yeah.
So my goal was to give, to set the stage and give some positive points that we were really excited to get the grant back in 2017, and we spent quite a bit of money clearing it up and getting it all nice, and it looked wonderful. And then we had the Clark County Regional come and do the pipes down Lone Mountain, which was perfect because of all the water coming down. It was just really helping that area not to, for the water to rise and damage the wall and such. However, during that time that they were working on it, we lost 2 trees, which I'm not sure if you have images. One of the trees in the center image here, you can see that it was knocked down. And then the image to the left, you can see where they went ahead, they were very kind and removed it for us, but it left us with no tree. And it also left us with bare areas. The area, when they were doing their project, it was gated off. And so our maintenance could not, the landscapers couldn't come in and clean up. So what happened over that year is there, if we can go to the next slide too, you might even be able to see, is, bare areas. So where they did the catch basin, they didn't come on our property and replace rocks there because that wasn't part of their plan, but they were told to do the catch basin. So now we have the rocks that are bare. And then because the landscapers couldn't get to the area, then that culvert started building back up. So now we have about $5,000 worth of work to be done, and that's what we're here to do, is just, try to earn that grant and clean it back up.
Chairman Quayle, thank you very much.
Yes.
I think we've got all your information, all your application, and I know that everybody's looked at everything and so forth too, so we have a lot of information, so don't worry that we don't have the information.
Sure.
We do. And I will now open it up to questions.
Okay.
Larry Schultz, Ward 6, Vice Chair. So I have a few questions. When I look at the project, it's basically a capital-intensive construction project to rehabilitate the area to give you good drainage. Is that correct?
Yes, when the development was built, there was a positive water flow, and it was all working properly, and then over 20 years, it started to build up, so we went back.
Okay, and that's what I understood, and let me follow up. And it sounds like you've gotten with the operations director, Mr. Walker, and it sounds like you have some sort of a commitment for some additional work to complement the work you're planning, or is that?
No, that was done.
That's done?
So, yeah, Jerry, actually, before I applied for the MPF in 16 and received the $3,000 and we did all that work, I had invited Jerry to our board meetings, and Jerry was working with our development to see what we could do. And so he was working with Clark County, and when they did that project, that's what he had the basin and 3 inlets put in for us.
So that part's done?
Yes.
Okay, so the next follow-up I have is in studying your, these projects are all based on matches. So I looked at your match labor, and you have 170 hours of labor, which is the equivalent of, I think, $4,200 based on our pricing methodology of $25 an hour. But in looking at the labor, I did not see a correlation of the match to the nature of the project. It looked like the labor related to some social event that really didn't correlate or tie in to the actual project. So it's sort of, I felt like there were two kind of ships in the sea kind of going in different directions, and I didn't understand the match.
Yeah, so I learned through applying the first time that the first time we used German landscape, and of course, doing that kind of construction, removing rock and such, a landscape company had to do it. So I was wondering, how can then the company match? Well, German Landscape gave us a donation, I think at that time of $6,000, but we had to do some labor. So at the time, in 2016, we were told that as long as we came back and celebrated, we could have a picnic, and those homeowners that were coming and helping with the picnic and organizing it and whatnot, that could be considered the donation hours and labor.
Okay, so in essence, what you did is you added a social event so that you could make your match, but the social event in and of itself doesn't really connect to the actual work that you're seeking funding. Is that correct?
That's correct. The way, yeah, it's just community.
Yeah, I understand that. So,
Yes.
And the last thing is, and this is really more for staff, and do we have this PowerPoint presentation as part of our Zoom grant package? Because I don't remember seeing that. Huh? Okay.
I'm
So
sorry.
May I recommend that we get
Sorry.
that package and submit it to staff so that everybody could have access to it at a
Okay, so we do have.
I'm done, thank you.
I do have the PowerPoint, Larry, but it's not in the Zoom grants. They email them to me. So if you need, I can give you that.
Up to the other members.
It's up to-
Madam Chair?
Gail Quayle. Yeah, if you could email that out to the board members, that would be great.
I just want to add one thing. The Zoom grant was also written before we knew what quarantine and how we were going to do today's presentation. So at the same time, we were doing a picnic. The picnic has had to be put on hold. So right now, I've even decided just to bring foodie trucks in, so even those donation hours may be different.
Any other questions from the board members?
Madam Chair, this is City Attorney Brian Scott. Just a reminder, please, if everyone could just say their name prior to speaking, and please use your mics before you speak, that'd be great, just for the record. Thank you.
Member Bonaventura. So are these new improvements along the public right-of-way, like the sidewalk, or are these improvements in the neighborhood, in the private streets?
It is outside of our community, which is still our private property. The swell is our private property. So even in one of my slides in the very beginning, I said, oh, take a look, or notice that the sidewalk only has rocks on one side. That was prior to the county coming in and doing the Lone Mountain project. When they were finished, they had removed that whole sidewalk. They added a different side. They moved the sidewalk, and then they added a strip of their own rock. So you can see rock on both sides. And you know which side's theirs because they added the beige rock, and ours is red. So it's private property outside of the wall, and all that property actually belongs to our homeowners because they sit on half acres, and the way our developer did it is they have the wall and then the swell behind them.
Gail Quayle, chairperson, we're timed, so if you just finish that. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
And wish you the best.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Great job.
Madam Chair? Brian Scott. If they submitted the presentation, we'll attach it as part of the record as well. So I know Jeff has it, I think. So he'll get it over to the clerk's office, and she'll have it as part of the attachment.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
We'll get our titles right sooner or later between the two of us. Madam Chair, Brian Scott, if you want to maybe give Jackie the cue as to when you want the timer to start, you can start it either after they make their introductions or as soon as they start up to the podium, however you'd like to start the 5 minutes.
Gail Quayle. I'll just give them the little briefing, the introduction, and ask them to introduce, and once they introduce themselves, start.
One over there.
Thank you.
Yeah, fine. And then your mics are on. Introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Mass On or Mass Off?
Gail Quayle, hold on, masks on. Thank you, welcome. This is El Camino Community Association, and I just want to welcome you here, first of all. Thank you for participating, and you'll have 5 minutes for your presentation, and after that, there'll be a 5-minute for questions from the board. And if you would please introduce yourselves before you start, and after you introduce yourselves, we'll start the timer. So welcome.
Yeah, my name is Keith Thomas. I'm presenting on behalf of El Camino Community Association. Chad Diamond is the recently installed new president of El Camino Community Association, here to answer any questions that you may have. And we also have Todd Torsdahl here with us as well. The El Camino Community Association main project is the Provident Community Garden, and Todd is the president of the community garden. So they're accompanying me here today. And what I'd like to do is spend most of my time talking about we've been the recipients of grants in the past. The Provident Community Garden has had, I think, at least 3 grants in the past. We skipped 1 year. So you've been very kind. We appreciate your help. We're back again this year, and you have the information in the application, and I've given you the presentation. I don't know if you've had a chance to see the presentation or not, but I don't know, can you go through it, or how do we do that? Or should I just tell somebody?
However, did you want it to be?
Well, what I'd like to do is spend most of my time on item number 10. As you know, we're a community garden there on Oakey and Jones. We've been there for about 8 or 10 years now, and we've obtained grants in the past to build a shade structure, to upgrade our ground cover and our garden dirt, and also to build a community bed. And this year we've done a couple of new things. One is we've started producing excess produce, and we started donating that to the community. And I think so far during this season, Todd, we've donated about how much from our community beds?
We've tried real hard this year to make sure nothing goes to waste with the need that's out in the community. I think we've donated over 300 pounds of apricots, nectarines. We got peaches on the way. We have, I think, about 100 pints of tomatoes, and 60 zucchini, I think, has been donated as well to Lutheran Social Services and
Society of St. Stephen.
And the Society of St. Stephen.
Which is Trinity United Methodist Church here on West Charleston, which is just close to where the garden is. If you can go to page 10 of our presentation, I'd like to spend most of my time on page 10 and page 12. One of the things that we're concerned about is the COVID-19 pandemic and what's happening and what the new normal is going to be for us going forward. So what we want to be is a little bit more internet friendly in the future. So we want to upgrade our website to make it a lot more informative, a lot more user accessible, user friendly, have a blog on there, and also have a lot of interactive stuff on there so that people coming to the website can see what beds are available, they can contact and so on. We also think that there's going to be a lot more people that are going to become aware about growing their own food. And so what we want to do is make everybody in our neighborhood aware of the garden and send out flyers a couple of times a year. And another thing we need to do is upgrade the security. We have 2 garden sheds where we keep tools and supplies and things for the garden there. And we've had a problem with homeless people sleeping in there and kind of taking it over, so we've had to upgrade the security there. We had to lock the doors from the outside, and we want to replace that door that we have with a lock that's going to be a little bit more accessible. And our signs have also faded over the years, so we want to replace them with some upgraded signs. Now, we'll do all the labor on this except for the technical part about creating the new website and printing the signs. One of the signs in our request is for one of these roll-up banner signs, so that when we go to neighborhood fairs or community events, when they finally open up again, we'll have something that distinguishes us. On page 12 is our cost estimate. We have about $1,500 to upgrade the website. The signs we estimate are going to be about $1,480. We're asking for $220 in stamps, which we have about 200 houses in the neighborhood, so we think that'll cover about two mailings. Then a new door that we can get from Home Depot, some locks for our gates with a cable and a latch, and then some just office paper. We originally were looking for, we thought our costs were going to be about $5,000. They came in a lot less than that, about $3,500. So that's our request. We'd be happy to answer any questions for you.
Okay, you finished early. Good. Okay, I'll open it up to questions.
Larry Schultz, Ward 6. So I want to first of all compliment your team for a very well put together package. It was easy to follow in the Zoom Grants format. All the data was there, easy to understand, and I think the notion of what you've done so far with the community garden as far as distributing the food to people who need it is very, very good. And I like your project a lot. And so rather than a question, it's more of a compliment and just good detail. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Member Bonaventura, so do you guys already have a website? And then if so, or if not, have you considered going onto any third-party sites like Wix or something along those lines and doing it yourself? Because I know you can do it for $50 instead of $1,500. And then once you own the domain and the website, you can go and make changes. Because I know if you get someone to come and design your website, and if you want to update it and do changes and things like that, it may be a lot more difficult because you have to go back through those that you got the initial website through.
We have looked at that, yes, and we do have a website already, but it's fairly rudimentary, and it's one that we've developed ourselves, and we try to keep up ourselves, and it's a little bit difficult, but the person developing the website tells us that he can develop it so that we can be the ones to maintain it, and that we can be the ones to update it and add the content as necessary.
Okay, thank you.
But yes, thank you.
Member Quayle, I just have a question, and again, a great presentation, and I agree your application was done very well, so thank you very much for that, and for continuing to come back every year. I know that it's growing, and we've talked in the past, but I'd like to know again, how has it increased as far as benefiting a larger community? Or is it? Or you're still kind of serving the same entities, same people? Is it growing, who you're serving in our community?
Yeah, that of course is one of our focuses, and I think just in the last month and a half, we've had how many new members?
We've had about 4 new members in the last month, I think. Yeah, that community garden, it's sustained by its membership, and I think one of the reasons we want to increase our signage and our website and our exposure is that we have the ability to support 90 gardeners, 90 beds. We have the 40 fruit trees. So the more gardeners we can get in there, it's going to be much easier for us to maintain that and continue the growth and the beautification, I guess, of that part of the
How many spots do you have available still? Do you?
Of the 90 beds, about half of those are available.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And of the half that are available, probably half of those are planted for community community
That's what-
use right now. They're
We have a
just being-
donation program we started this year, as we spoke about. So those beds that we're not using, extra gardeners are taking on those beds, and that's where we're getting our tomatoes and our squash and those kinds of things from.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Great presentation, good luck.
You're very welcome. I'm also presenting on behalf of Rainbow Family Park, so you want me to just stay?
Madam Chair? Madam Chair? Brian Scott here. Just a reminder, I know I'm sounding redundant, but if each person who speaks on each occasion that they speak can introduce themselves again. I know it's hard to do that, but we just need it for the record because everyone sounds the same here, and on the record, it's just going to muddle. So if we can have each speaker speak on each occasion that they speak. Thank you.
Either wait or go, whatever you want. Thanks. Thank you much. Thank you very much. Keith Thomas, here presenting on behalf.
Member Quayle, sorry, you're ready to go to the next one? You don't have anybody else? I thought you had somebody else coming in. No? So you're ready to move on? Okay, let's just.
The president is supposed to be here, Diane Harrington, but I don't see her, so.
Okay, so we'll do the same thing. We are now on Rainbow Park Neighborhood Association. And same thing, you have 5 minutes to give your presentation, and there'll be 5 minutes for follow-up questions. And please introduce yourself before you start. And just a reminder for all of us, and did I forget to do that, Member Quayle? To introduce yourself before you speak each time. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Chair Quayle. My name is Keith Thomas. I'm here presenting on behalf of the Rainbow Family Park Neighborhood Association in Councilman Knudsen's ward. We're west of Rainbow between Sahara and Charleston and east of Buffalo. We've been here at least twice before and received grants. Both times before, we had community gatherings. The first year we did a Cinco de Mayo. We had a couple of hundred people at that. Last year we did a trunk or treat, and we had about 400 people at that. So it's been very successful in terms of getting our community together. Didn't realize I still had my earpiece. I was wondering why I couldn't hear. The Cinco de Mayo picnic was very successful. So was our trunk or treat. Just as with the prior application, we're concerned about going forward, about community gatherings, about getting together, about what it is that we're going to be doing. So our application this year is not for a community event, but rather what it is for development of a website. And we don't have any website at all. We don't really have any internet presence. We have kind of a rudimentary Facebook page, but not much yet. So the first part of our request is for development of a website. The second part is again, creating a roll-up sign that we can use when we go to community events or such. And the third part of the request is for stamps for a postcard that goes to the homes. We have about 600 homes within our association, and so that's the third part of the request. So that's on page 11. Page 13 is the funding amounts being requested. In this case, we're asking for $3,500 for development of the website because we're working from the ground up. And again, we want to make it a robust website, one that we can maintain, one that's informative and good for the neighborhood, and where we can connect with other organizations and get links to the city and so on. So that's the main part of the request is for that. And then the remainder of the request is for a banner, one of these stand-up banners, like you see when you go to conventions, when we ultimately do open up, and then for postage stamps as well. And that's our request. It's been a kind of an interesting application process. We weren't sure what we could do when we were making the application, but we decided we wanted to go a little bit more internet friendly. So that's our request. Chair Quayle.
Member Quayle, open it up for questions.
Member Bonaventura, so can you tell me what will the website provide that a Facebook page doesn't provide, or Nextdoor and those types of apps where neighbors go and talk and communicate and get information from neighborhoods?
Well, A website provides you the opportunity basically to be a storehouse of information, a storehouse of documents, and you don't really get that on Facebook. On Facebook, you see information as it comes in and it kind of rolls away and goes away. You know, with a website, it's almost as if you've got I'm sorry, Keith Thomas again responding. With a website, you're able to have documents that are available where people know they can go there and get it, and they can find it right there. You've got links to where it's stored, and that's primarily one of the basic benefits of it, is it provides that storehouse of information.
Okay, thank you.
Matthew Tramp, Ward 1. I want to check, did you go through competitive bids, checked alternative bids for website pricings to determine this amount?
Oh, right here. Sorry. Keith Thomas here. I couldn't tell. It's hard to tell. We went with somebody that we knew, but the same fellow that was developing the website for the prior grant. We know he's good, but we didn't go through a competitive process, no.
Member Gail Quayle, any other comments or questions? Board? Okay. Thank you very much, and good luck.
You're welcome. I appreciate it, Keith Thomas. Again, I wish I could see your faces, but I understand. Thank you very much.
Gail Quayle, Chair. So next up, we have Beverly Green. Gail Quayle, member. Welcome. I know it's hard to, it's a little bit different, so we're to see where we're coming from. So if we could probably just raise our hand a little bit when we're talking, probably make it easier for everybody too, as well as introducing ourselves. So welcome. We have Beverly Green Neighborhood Association, and you will have 5 minutes for your presentation, and then there'll be a 5-minute opportunity for questions from the board. Please introduce yourselves before you start, and then each time you speak, please state your name again for the record. And you're on.
Okay, I'm Patrick Coleman, president of Beverly Green Neighborhood.
And I'm Michelle Laramie. I'm the secretary for the Beverly Green Neighborhood, and I'm going to be the project manager for the grant that we're applying for. So really quick, we just wanted to give you, oh, I guess that's not working. Next slide, please. A quick overview of what we've done in the past. Oh, and there's no photos on here. Oh, there they are. Okay. So the last 2 years, the first year you see our street signage project that we did. So we applied and were able to purchase 24 signs that we had one of our neighbors donate in-kind services to do a custom design. We voted as a neighborhood, and then we installed the 24 signs throughout our neighborhood to help bring visibility and kind of connect different parts of our neighborhood. Last year, we applied to do the dog waste bag stations. So you see one installed here, and then we also were able to create kind of a matching sign for these stations as well. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, so we have to re-drill the holes to get them onto the signs, but those are going to be installed on the dog waste station signs as well. And as part of both of these grants, we've been having kind of some fun social events and community service projects as well. So the first year we did a big block party that really was focused on family stuff and getting more families to engage with our neighborhood. And this last year, we did some neighborhood cleanup projects to coordinate with the waste station, did some curb painting and trash cleanups throughout the neighborhood.
And once again, I'm Patrick. As you can see, we are right in front of the stratosphere. Part of our neighborhood falls into a historical designated area. There is, since the crash in 2008, we do have some problems with crime and homelessness and things of that nature. I was myself a victim of home invasion in 2011. Just this week, I found out about the kid's bicycle 5 doors down was stolen. My next door neighbor, somebody broke into his house and took some money, and then my neighbor has a wall. Someone was coming over her wall. She chucked a ashtray at the person and scared them off. So in other words, we could use a lift up with a neighborhood watch campaign, which we are proposing to start. This was voted on by our neighborhood. We presented them with different projects that we might come and present to you guys. And overwhelmingly, the response was the neighborhood watch. So we plan to have the neighborhood watch signs, but we would coordinate them, as you can see what we're modeling, to be more the color schematics and themed to our neighborhood. We would also set up, we had originally planned some social gatherings, like we call it coffee on the curb and things like that. We might have to evolve that into some more virtual meetings, but the idea is to get the neighborhood united. And of course, with the quarterly neighborhood watch meetings, the main thing of neighborhood watch is really getting people to call 311 with suspicious activity. And we know that once those behaviors come into play, that it will be a safer environment for us to live in.
And we also, as part of the grant, asked for some additional funds to do the window clings, like you see here. So kind of the general idea is to, reach out, have some small quarterly events like the coffee on the curb, get people signed up, and then in addition to installing the signs, have people put the window clings in their window so that we really get a lot of engagement with the Neighborhood Watch program.
Member Quayle, so we're ready for open up for questions. Do we have the timer going? Okay.
Larry Schultz, Ward 6, Vice Chair. Thank you for your presentation. I do have a couple of things. I understand your project, but there are some details in the submission, and quite honestly, when I was reading the material online, it looked like you took a cell phone and just took pictures of it. So the quality of the data, I had a hard time with it. Okay, but I'm older than most, so maybe it's just my age. But so let me ask a few questions, okay?
Yes.
So first of all, in your labor, you're showing 146 hours, and I know this is not a big variance, but I just want to make sure it's accurate. But elsewhere, I saw 153 hours. Is it 146 or 153?
153.
It is 153. And can you share with the board what exactly will be done by the volunteers for those hours?
So part of it will be at the social events. So we do a lot before we have an event. We send people out door-to-door canvassing to get the word out. So that accounts for a lot of it. We do have a project planned. It's not just neighborhood watch, but it's neighborhood cleanup as well. So part of it will be involved painting fire hydrants. We started that last year. We got to about 50%, and also the curbs painted red at the corners and in front of the fire hydrants. Again, we got about 50% done, so there'll be another 50% involved in that.
So it's basically reaching out to the residents, knocking on doors, and painting curb areas and hydrants?
And then having the 4 social gatherings that we're planning, quarterly gatherings.
Okay, good. And I have another follow-up question. On one of the sheets here, you have, in your submission, you have a document, or that you prepared from an entity called Vivitiv, if I said that correctly, Vivitiv?
Yes.
And could you tell us a little bit about what is the nature of this organization, and what will they, pray tell, do for you?
They have designed our graphics. They did the graphics for our Welcome to Beverly Green neighborhood sign. They did the graphics for the puppy dog waste station sign. So they would also be involved in the customizing the neighborhood watch sign. So it's not just this orange and white, but would be more themed to the Beverly Green neighborhood signage.
Thank you. So in their pledge letter, they said that they will contribute $1,500. Is that correct?
That's not cash, that's how much the cost would be to design the logos.
It's their in-kind service,
So that's the
in-kind match to us.
This is what I got confused about, because in the pledge letter, it says cash partner in the amount of $1,500, but right below it, it says 12 hours at $150 an hour, which is $1,800, but I thought I just heard you say $1,500. So I'm not, the way it's delineated, it seems like it's 2 pieces to their donation. And if it's one, then I would urge you to update this sheet, the pledge sheet, because I don't think it communicates accurately what it is the entity is doing. Is that something you can do and turn into Alma Estrada, our staff person?
Sure, of course.
Thank you. That's all I have, Chair.
Member Quayle, I just had a question on the, actually to kind of follow up on Larry's, was on the budget worksheet. Kind of the same, it's listed, your volunteer hours are listed for the dollar amount, it's listed as 146, which instead of the 153, which is your correct hours, like you said. And so that should be the total amount of the dollars for volunteers, which is $38.25. So that sheet comes out wrong. So if you're going to correct that one, if you guys could correct that too, I think it would really be beneficial.
Okay, of course.
Thank you very much. Member Quayle again, any other questions? Yes.
One thing I would like to add.
I'm sorry, Chair, one more time. If we can just announce our names prior to the time of speaking, that for the record. Thank you.
I had done the sheet, and then it was after
Can you
that.
please say your name before you speak? Thank you.
Patrick again from Beverly Green. So I had tried to compose all of the things needed on the sheet as far as the cost, and it was after that I found out that the neighbor would be volunteering his time to be doing the graphics, and he gave me that cost estimate. And so when I did that, I realized we actually had come in way over, because you're supposed to match dollar for dollar what you're asking for, $4,000. And I realized we would surpass that once we added his services in there as well.
Okay,
So-
Member Quayle again. So if you can just correct any of those that you
Sure.
want and submit them to Alma, that would be great,
Okay.
because we're timed, but I would like you to be able to speak, please.
I'll just be real quick. Member Jackson Renter, have you reached out to your council office to see if there's any possible volunteer groups to help with this project? I'm specifically thinking about the painting of the curbs and the hydrants.
Yeah, Michelle Laramie for the record. So we did work with the councilwoman's office with Ms. Diaz and Olivia on the last project. And then we actually had one scheduled with community services through the city as well, but we ultimately had to cancel that one when the pandemic hit. So we have been working with them and coordinating. And we've also worked with one of our local churches, Reformation Lutheran, who's in the neighborhood footprint, to help bring in volunteers, and they've been really generous. We usually have our meetings there, and we do potlucks and some other stuff with them, so we have some crossover with them as well.
Member Quayle? Okay, thank you very much for your presentation, and wish you good luck.
Thank you.
And great job. Gail Quayle, Chairman. After this presentation, we'll take a 5-minute break. Gail Quayle, Chairman.
There's the,
Chair- I'd like to welcome Buffalo Coalition Neighborhood Association. Welcome. Sorry, it's a little bit different, so kind of spread out. We'll try and raise our hands if we're going to speak to help you see identify who is speaking. You will have 5 minutes for your presentation, and then we'll open up 5 minutes for questions from the board. I would appreciate if you would introduce yourselves before we start, and then also say your name before you speak as well, would be great. Okay, so you may introduce yourself and get started.
Dina Cianchetti, President of the Buffalo Coalition, also Neighborhood Watch Captain.
Hi, Peter Fata, I'm the Communications Director.
And I'm Carol Fata, and I'm the Treasurer of the Coalition.
You're on.
Are we supposed to move the thing? Are we supposed to click through it? Oh, he's going to, okay.
The timer, please.
No, you can do it.
Oh, you do it, Pete.
Okay.
You do it, Pete.
All right. There you go.
Just real quick, do we have the timer?
All right, folks. Pete Fata. As a little history on our community, we moved in Carol and I about 5 years ago. Nice neighborhood, tall kind of walls, and some of them are gated. So we kind of thought this is going to be kind of a difficult area to get to know everybody and really get a sense of community and togetherness, because everything seems to be kind of separated a little bit. Soon after, one of the ladies that is part of our group got a neighborhood watch meeting together, which ended up being the largest meeting ever that the city had put together. It was 103 people showed up for that, which kind of started our coalition going, getting a little firmer and growing. That grew into weekly coffees. Every Thursday we get together, which has actually continued through coronavirus. We now do it video conferencing and still keep the meetings going. That also grew into block parties, which we do every 6 months or so, which grew into community garage sales. And then we ended up doing fire hydrant painting just recently for the whole neighborhood. Trash pickup for the neighborhood, and I believe we were down here at the city also.
Yep.
Future plans, we're planning on installing buffaloes in some of the big planters and cleaning up the planters that kind of are the lead-in streets to our area. And we have a service project coming up at All-American Park. And As a note, this is all your help for the signs that we've created, which was the first slide we had, has also created a lot more gatherings. So every time we have these community events, we actually have more and more people showing up. So thank you for enabling us to grow as a community.
So Dina Cianchetti. So when we have our Thursday coffees, when we talk about what we're going to do, we agreed on doing the planner beautification boxes that, like Pete said, are entering into our neighborhood as you're driving down the streets. What we want to do is we want to remove all the weeds, we want to repair and paint, replace some of the plants that are dead, that are overgrown, that no one's taking care of, and fix all the stucco, the paint, and then we're going to install, we want to keep our buffalo logo going through the neighborhood, so metal buffaloes going in there. And you can see that these are some of our planters on locations. This is Valdez and O'Bannon. That you can see it has nothing on it. It's all weeded. It doesn't state our neighborhood, doesn't say anything. A lot of dead plants in there. This is the buffalo we're kind of looking at to put in there. There'll be different sizes to, again, keep up with the Buffalo Coalition. Last year, we also won the grant. We did the buffalo, like Pete said, on the banners on all the light poles. This is Buffalo and O'Bannon. And just so you know, on this particular corner, 20,000 cars go past this on a given day. So we got that from Jim Didway, who's traffic engineering. We have 9,782 cars going northbound, and we have 10,994 cars going southbound on that particular, and that's what they see. An overgrown, dead, weeded, there's stucco missing. So you want to go to the next one? This is War Bonnet and O'Bannon. Same thing, and these are some of the plants that we want to put in, the elephant food, the daisies, the hearts and flowers, because these are low water plants. Here's another one that we have, that's on Buffalo and El Parque, and if you really saw it in person, the pictures that don't do it justice, are even worse because all the plants are dead and overgrown and stucco and everything's chipped and missing. So we want to bring that out and have that as part of our community intake so for everybody can come out and be together and clean everything up. So when you drive past it, plus also on Buffalo, going between Buffalo and Cimarron, going down O'Bannon, we have 451 cars going down that street on a given day. That's not people biking, walking, that's just cars, and this is what they're looking at when they come into our neighborhoods. So we want to clean it up and make it look professional and beautiful.
And Carol Fodder, real quick, besides the fact that all the lovely signs that we've put up and all the beautification we've done for our neighborhood bonds us together as a community, the Summerlin Command just sent out an email stating that property crime is down in Las Vegas, but especially among neighborhood associations. It's less than 8% of all property crimes in the city. And we know that if we can brand our neighborhood with the signs that we've put up and the themes of the buffalo going through, then it will also, it will show the criminal element that we are a neighborhood association and we look out for each other. Thank you.
And thank you for having us today.
Gail Qualey, chairperson. I'm going to open to questions from the board.
Member Bonaventura. So 2 questions. Who's responsible for the maintenance right now on the planners?
Our community is going to be, we're going to do it as a community to make sure that everything's.
Who's right now responsible for it?
No one's doing it.
Okay.
They're HOAs. We've got permission from the people who
But it's
own-
not an HOA, right? So there's no
Well, the
HOA.
people who own the planners have signed off on the permission letters, which we sent in
Okay,
with
so
our.
the house on the
Yes,
corner is the
yes.
one who's responsible for
Yes.
that planner.
But our
and-
team will keep everything clean, ongoing. We'll weed it, we'll make sure the plants are good.
And then
we'll
if you
take
could
care
just break down detail on which costs are, so how much for the buffalo, how much for, and then how
Yep.
much is volunteer work for irrigation and things like that?
I'm sorry, say that again?
So what type of work will your volunteer hours that you put on your sheet, what
The
work will they be
volunteer
doing?
total hours, hang on. I sent that in. I don't have a grand total in a second. I gotta take my glasses off.
Hey, Carol Fodder, while she's looking up that, I can tell you that right now we've gotten, there are 3 planters that the owners of the planters have said that they will maintain, or they will irrigate, continue to irrigate, and 1 that has not. So we're planning on
He's asking about
making
the price of the buffalo,
either desert plants that don't need water, or we're also looking at metal artwork or metal flowers to go in there
or just rocks, along with the statue, so that it will continue to look good even without the irrigation.
So the money you're requesting will go to those new improvements?
It'll go for the improvements, not the irrigation, but yeah, the improvements, yeah.
So the buffaloes start at 500 and go up depending on what size they are. They go all the way up to $800 depending on what size, because each planter box, some we have to put smaller buffaloes, some we can put bigger buffaloes.
Okay, thank you.
Member Toussaint, up here.
Hi.
Hi, I just wanted to know, these planters and so forth that need to be refurbished, I guess. Do you have an HOA now that has that responsibility?
No.
So no one owns the responsibility?
Correct.
Are they on private property?
Yes.
They are?
It's kind of like Carol Fada again. We own the walls that are behind our houses. These are the walls behind our houses with planter boxes. So
I see.
it's the individual homeowners.
Okay, so I can see that, so this is a very good solution.
Yeah. That's what we think too.
Larry Schultz, Ward 6 Vice Chair. This looks, it's a nice project that you presented, but I have just a little bit of confusion here. And it really follows up on Member Toussaint and Member Bonaventura's questions. So you have this property where this rehabilitation improvement will occur to enhance the look to the area. Who exactly owns that land? I'm still confused about
Okay,
that.
what's the gentleman's name on Buffalo?
Could you introduce yourself, please? Name?
Pardon me?
Name?
Carol, say your name, say your name.
I'm sorry, Carol Fada. I'm sorry. The planter box that's on
State your
Buffalo.
name, please.
Carol Fada.
Okay.
The planter box that's
Here's
on
the commission
Buffalo
ones right there.
and O'Bannon. Janae Wrightsey owns the house, and this is, if this is the fence, the planter box is on the back corner of her property.
Here's a picture
Where it doesn't show where her house is.
Okay. It's
So
behind the trees on this picture.
she doesn't see it on a daily basis, so it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. It's something that when we drive into our neighborhood, we see every day, so it's more of a priority for us to fix it up than it is for her.
So that's helpful, because when I went to the permission letter,
We had the
I
permission
saw the name Janae Wrightsey, but it's signed private citizen, and I didn't understand what the legal authority was of that private citizen to address a project that related to the Buffalo Coalition. But you're saying that's just another home that's there, and she is saying, oh, you could improve my property.
Right.
Correct.
Madam Chair, City Attorney Brian Scott, I've done zoning and planning for the city for the last 20 years, and sometimes the property beyond the wall sometimes is common area for the HOA, and the HOA maintains it, but in other developments, each adjacent property owner owns that proportional share of the outer wall, and they maintain it. And sometimes you don't get equal treatment from the homeowners depending on who owns it and how well they're going to treat that other side of their yard that they don't see every day. So it's always helpful if the HOA owns it, because then you get equal treatment, but if individual property owners own it, you don't get that equal treatment that you'd see if an HOA owned it. So they probably have got an encroachment agreement or some authority
We do.
from
We
the
sent it.
property owner to then maintain that property owner's responsibility for that portion. Even though they still own it in fee, this group would take over the maintenance of it.
Thank you. So
Member Quayle, we're time.
Just in summary quickly, the request is to do rehabilitation on Janae Wrightsey's property for which Buffalo Coalition will receive a benefit. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you all.
Member Quayle, thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Member Quayle, we will take a 5-minute break now.
When everybody's responsible, no one's responsible.
Yeah, you do it with HOA
Yes.
Sorry.
I didn't mean to mute on the microphone. How do we turn it off? It's already on, isn't it?
Click it.
Your wife knows how to do that. His wife will play. That was a very informative question you asked there. The one about the breakdown between the buffaloes. The breakdown of the cost of the buffaloes, yeah. I wonder if they got those from Artistic Ireland. You know, they make those. But I think we made those in-house with medium strips. The city makes those. No. Because it was just like a single piece of metal. Use a little metal. Yeah, but some of the guys in on the metal shop make those cactus. You know the cactus that have the rocks inside. They really start making them, and people wanted them. So I think the guy makes them on the side with rebar. It just makes those cactus, yeah. So it's been entitled for 15 years. I can't get you to say the other title. I know, but I've been saying it for 15 years. It's like, kind of like, that's going to be hard. It is. Well, I just got sworn officially today, so. Pretty well on time. Yeah, you guys are really staying on time. That's great. Let's hope to have the time. Plus, I think I know for, what is it, Nevada Youth, what's the other partnership? They use like just a little stopwatch, but now that all the meetings are being done here. We're there till 11:30. Yeah. Were you really? Oh, no, I was there. Wasn't I there? No, I was there. Oh, okay. Oh, that opened up, but there's another partnership that, Angela Washington. Yeah, that's another grant. Was it? Right. It's almost similar to this, but yeah, but it's, the first, board member for the city was, no, wow. They've been around for a long time. Because those are the kids, right? The kids project. The kids are there. They're fun.
I felt bad for the kids on the board.
What?
Stay till 11:30.
Oh.
They were so tired. They're like, just pass it.
Just kidding. Why? That's life, man. Feel it. That's life.
Sorry, Larry, you talked to them.
You know, that link didn't get me. That link, I pushed the link, it doesn't link to it.
Just type in on the RJ,
Oh, okay, you don't copy it and, put it in the browser.
or just call it the title.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't good. It wasn't.
Well, you said it was good. I'm like, wait a minute.
My portion, I thought was.
When we think, it's the totality, not just your portion. It's like, your portion said he got an A, but he got an F in every other subject. So, that one looked great, but then you got.
Coming from that specific thought.
Oh, okay, with a shake? Well. Hey, Dorian, it's sharing
I just couldn't tell from a distance if it was like, is this somebody's personal?
Yeah, like,
water?
it's empty or-
Yeah. You want water? It's like just right here. I haven't seen anything. Okay. I'm like, it's
We
city
do it for
water.
free, so you can, whatever you want.
Yeah.
I have mine here. I have my COVID-free one, right?
We're gonna have to move the chair in a minute.
Well, yeah, she just thought, that since you guys were already seated,
Yeah.
let's not mix it over.
Mr. Scott, how are you, sir?
Hey, Kelly, how are you doing?
Good, good. Hey, the other day you called me about the two magazines.
Yes.
I was doing a little research that Thursday and I can't find it
Oh,
anywhere.
okay.
But did
Well,
you?
do you know what the two were? What were the two?
Black Image
Okay.
and Urban Voice.
Okay. And then are you guys going to be at the meeting tomorrow? For the
100 Plan.
entertainers? For the entertainers?
The buskers thing?
Yeah, Fremont Street Express.
Well, let's see what my phone says.
Because the new, it's 11 o'clock, so the, apparently, Todd Ford talked to the ACLU, it's Sherry Royster. I met her at the backpack
Okay.
ordinance, and so.
Todd, and I used to serve on the board, and he's my friend. He's supposed to call me and tell me these things.
Oh, okay, well, I just know it from Patrick Hughes, so
I'm gonna
Patrick.
give him the business. I'm sorry.
Well, hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Patrick Hughes had just messaged me because they wanted to be ACLU quiet.
Busker ordinance? Yes, tomorrow at 11.
We need to get the ACLU. can't ask any questions. Oh, did they? Oh, no, I don't. So I just wanted to make sure before we get started. Oh, yeah, you're fine. What's that? My thing is, if they're not asking questions, they're not giving information, they're not advocating for the project, they can sit there and listen. Well, you can't do what I'm asking. That's all you do.
Member Quayle, is everybody's back?
Let me know when you want me to bring the first group in, or I should say,
So our Member Quayle again, our next presentation will be Crestwood.
they are here.
And they are here, so we'll go ahead and bring them in. Gail Quayle, I even said my name, Chair. Welcome Crestwood Neighborhood Association.
Thank you.
It's a little bit different this year. We're spread out, so we're trying to raise our hands to help you know who's talking and so forth. You will have 5 minutes for your presentation, and then we'll open it up to 5 minutes of questions from the board. If you can introduce yourselves before you start, and then each time you speak, also state your name before for the record so that we can keep track. And you're on, so introduce yourself, and then you can start.
Thank you. My name is Ashley Lee. I'm the Crestwood Neighborhood Association president.
For the record, I'm Ann Kokanya. I'm Ashley's neighbor.
And I'm Rob Pontier. I also live in the neighborhood.
So we wanted to present our NPF project for... Oh, Ashley Lee. Wanted to present the project for the 2020 and Neighborhood Partners Fund. So we are, just doing a brief history, we've received this grant 3 other times with the sign project, a neighborhood block party, and also a really successful mural project. So our grant this year, we're hoping to install 56 trees with requested almost $5,000. We've received in-kind of a little bit more than $6,000. We have a pledge of 80 volunteers, and we've created 3 separate partnerships throughout the county with the Las Vegas Urban Forester, Brett Dossler, and also the Master Gardeners and the Nevada Division of Forestry. So many of you are familiar with Project Enchilada, so I won't go over a lot of benefits of the trees, but as you know, they're going to be a huge benefit to our community.
I'm Rob Ponte. I lived in the Crestwood neighborhood for about 5 years. I also work at Zappos downtown here, so I've been in the neighborhood for a while. So I do love biking and walking around in my neighborhood. This is the neighborhood. But something I noticed when biking was these strips of parkway you can kind of see on either side of the street here. Some neighbors have, along Crestwood, Bruce, and Burnham Avenue, some neighbors have already planted trees in this space, but there's a lot of empty space. So we wanted to utilize that as best we could. So our plan, this map is the Crestwood neighborhood. You can see Charleston at the top, Eastern on the side here, Oakey through the middle. And the green areas here denote the areas of opportunity, which are blank and which we can plant trees right now. Blue areas already have improvements or concrete paved over. So the plan is to plant 56 trees in empty parkways, plus 10 we've already had donated by Gaia Flowers downtown here. And eventually, the long term of this project is plant about 200 trees and cover about 10 of these green spaces with trees. We plan to do that with the Tree Steward program. We've already had a couple of volunteers for the houses that live on these corners that would provide maintenance, water, care for the trees planted by the community. And we plan to work with Crestwood Elementary to do some kind of tree care education program as well. And another long-term goal is to install benches, bulletin boards, and kids' play equipment and other amenities in the future. So here's a couple pictures of the neighborhood, kind of see what it looks like and where these areas would be. So here's an example area, currently blank. And you can see a neighbor has already planted trees along one of these strips, and you can see the difference that it makes towards that location. As far as prioritizing locations, we would be looking at the level of commitment, access to water, solar readiness. We also have an accountability system, which would be first the primary resident that lives on that street. We would get a commitment from them. A secondary would be a neighbor on that street, and then us as committee members. And then also we're working on a program with the master gardeners where they could check the tree health.
Oh, can I have the clip?
Yeah.
Thanks. All right, so this is Ann Kokanya for the record, and we are hoping to establish a kissing canopy type of look in the neighborhood. So we'll have nice big bushy trees on each side. And we want to tie into Project Enchilada. You've seen the nice oak trees that have been planted in downtown. This should continue snaking through our neighborhood, so it looks nice and co-joined and very, very beautiful. And we had the real pleasure of working with the Las Vegas City urban forester. His name is Brad Dossler. If anybody's met him, he is a super cool dude. And he personally came to our neighborhood and rode a bicycle with us around the neighborhood, and he curated the tree selection for us. And this is the list, and now I have some photos. He picked two shorter tree types to plant under the power lines so they don't grow into the power lines. And then these are the beautiful big trees that'll help grow the kissing canopies. And then we have these. So there are 6 different types that he chose for us. And this is the flyer that we put through the neighborhood. And there's been quite a bit of feedback on the social media networks. Everybody's like super excited about this. So thank you so much for listening to us. And we are so ready for your questions. We appreciate it.
This is Rob. We also do have some stickers if anybody wants them, so you can put those on your car. Just kidding.
Gail Quayle, Chair, now open for questions from the board.
Greg Toussaint, member. I have a question, my comment. My wife actually grew up in the Crestwood, Huntridge area, and that's where I first met her. So it's a community that we are fond of. Excuse me. I have to applaud you all for what you've done over the recent years, all your projects to improve the community. You know, there aren't a lot of communities that do that as well as you have, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Larry Schultz, Ward 6 Vice Chair, and I have to double down on what Member Toussaint just said, because I did review your presentation online on Zoom Grants. It was very well put together, and when I read it, sitting at home in my home office, I was so excited for what you were doing, just because it came right out and communicated everything. And then you walk in with your badges and you tie it all together, and I think you're doing great stuff as well. So I feel the same way. I just had to say that. And your presentation, Alma, can we also have this provided to the board members who wish it? Because I think this is a very well-done presentation, and it also, as we deliberate, it's nice to have a hard copy of that. So can we also have that? It sounds like we have it right now.
Oh, super cool. Thanks.
Okay, good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Member Schultz.
Member Bonaventura, so who's responsible for the maintenance right now along those sidewalks?
As you might be able to see, they are relatively unmaintained, sir. So there is no one at the moment maintaining them.
But is it the private property owner who is supposed to be maintaining those areas?
Yes, indeed. It is. That's a really nebulous type of thing. It is technically city property, but the homeowner is required to maintain that. Yeah, is responsible.
And you're getting approval from the homeowner on putting that in?
Absolutely, they have to sign off on it.
Yeah, last thing you would want is to put it in, and then they say, I have to maintain a tree now, and I don't want to, so.
Yeah.
Right,
And then one more question. On your cost estimate sheet, you have a Republic dumpster, 120-foot one for 4 days.
Oh, the dumpster.
And the cost was $1,320. I know that there's other projects, and they've gotten them for like $450 from Republic, 30-foot ones. And then I also checked, like Western Elite, for instance, has them. I think they're like $320. So you might want to look. I think 300 or 1,320 is too much for one
Yeah,
dumpster.
I think
so.
we did the math on a daily basis.
Member Quayle, state your name, please.
Oh, sorry, this is Rob. Our math was done on a daily rental basis, so we might have messed that up a little bit. We
Yeah,
could
and
probably get it
you know, I
cheaper
just
on the-
would hate that you'd spend more money on that when you could use it for trees or some other improvements that you might want to do, so.
Yeah, for the record, this is Ann Kokanya, and good eye, because he's right, we kind of screwed that up. I think that was actually a miscalculation that you just caught, because I think on the website, in fact, I'll take the blame for that, because I'm the one that was responsible for that slide, but I think on another form, I screwed it up and did like a day rate, but you get the thing for like 9 days for like $300. It's a killer deal. You're correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
Matthew Tramp, Ward 1. My question is, who's going to be responsible for the watering of these trees?
Hi, with the masks, I can't see who's talking. Hi, sir. In fact, we've got, like Rob mentioned, a tiered system. We have neighbors that are like super gung-ho, then we have second kind of tier gung-ho, then we have not so gung-ho, then we have us if nobody's there. And we have a secret weapon in our pocket. It's called the UNLV Cooperative Extension Master Gardener Program. And they have partnered with us. These people are beasts. They are straight up tree animals. This is what they do. They have like 80 certified master gardeners, and a good chunk of them actually live in close to our area, and some live in the area. And so they're chomping at the bit to help us with this project. They're the ones that are going to provide a lot of the mulch in one of the orchards that they have in North Las Vegas. And so pretty much they're going to be the backbone of watering, although we are considering and have a lead on a donation for what's called gator bags. You tie these bags, and it's like a drip irrigation down the trunk. So we're toying with that, or free form, because you might not want to trap moisture, but there are some gator bags that Brad told us about that might make sense for tying those on, because you have to water 3 times a week for the first 60 days.
This is Rob. As far as watering them on a daily basis, we'd be looking for commitments from each of those property owners that live on those, directly on those corners. So we would plant trees only in places where we would have a commitment from them.
Member Quayle, we're at time, but we do have one more board member that would like to ask a question, so please.
Member Jackson Renter. First of all, I just want to say I love what you're doing in creating sort of a green canopy, and it does soften the aesthetics going into your neighborhood. What I want to know is if you reached out to the Public Works Department to see if there's any assistance the city can provide with preparing those beds, just to help out with the project. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. This, for the record, Ann Kokanya, and I'm getting the hang of this. And we spoke with Brad, and there is a possibility. We did work into the presentation, as you so deftly saw, the line items we do have in there. We have a donation from Ahern, which was super cool, super generous. They donated a whole day worth of equipment. So we have one of these gator diggers. We have to mold 6 inches of soil. It's kind of deep, so we need one of these machines to really pull it up. And Brad had said there may or may not be input that they could give with the way of machinery and that type of thing, so we decided to kind of cover our behinds and make sure we have all that lined up. And then if the city happened to have something available on the days that we're going to plant, then maybe Brad could come through. But we're already covered with Ahern, we priced it out, and they made a donation of equipment. So yes, ma'am, we did reach out, we did.
Thank you. Good work.
Sure.
Gail Quayle, Chair. Just like to thank you for your presentation. Great job. I concur with everything that's been said. Your application was great. I do know Brad Dossler, and you're in good hands. And just for the sake of time, but I do want to recognize also the amount of donations that you have been able to get, and the variety in them. And great job on that. I'd like to know your secret later. But thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you. Once again, there's stickers here if anybody wants them.
Yeah, please pass them around.
Thank you.
Ready for the next group?
Gail Qualey. Our next presentation will be Turning Point Community Association.
And this is for the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Member Gail Qualey, Chair.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to welcome Turning Point Community Association, sorry. We're a little bit different set out and spread out, so we're going to try and raise our hands when we're going to speak to help you find out who's speaking.
Very good.
And so forth. You will have 5 minutes for your presentation, and then following that, 5 minutes will be open up to questions from the board. I'd like to ask for you to introduce yourself before you get started, and then each time you speak, to state your name again for the record so that we can identify who's speaking. Okay,
Certainly.
All right, so you can introduce yourselves and then get started.
Very good.
Thank you.
My name is Elizabeth Evans, and
I'm Daniel Cambone, president of Turning Point.
You can start your presentation.
very good.
Thank you.
As you can see from our first slide, we think that Turning Point is a great place to live with very nice people, a strong board of directors, and a great management team. We are a 25-year-old community of 200 single-family condominiums located in the Northwest Valley, Ward 4 of the city of Las Vegas. Approximately 70% of our residents are owners, some of whom have been living in Turning Point since its inception. Many of our residents are retired and on fixed incomes. We strive every year to hold down our community assessment fees at the same time as we work to maintain and enhance our properties. Turning Point was awarded a grant from the Neighborhood Partners Fund in 2019 and 2020, and we thank you for that very much. This is the monument. As you enter Turning Point, we are especially fond of it. We think it's a very attractive and beautiful way to enter our community. We also have very beautiful common area spaces, lots of greenery, lots of landscaping, and we find great enjoyment in that community center. Here's just more pictures of our common area spaces. However, some of our spaces are literally down to dirt, and we find ourselves in need of getting some replacement rock and xeriscaping materials. Because the community is as old as it is, we have to do this in phases. More of our weathered landscaping, and further pictures of weathered landscaping. With the generous grant the City of Las Vegas gave us in 2019, we were able to plant 8 Mediterranean palm trees and vacant pedestrian circles in the common area around our south pool. Everybody loves these things because these circles were bare to begin with, so it's a much appreciated feature. However, there are still some empty circles. We have 5 more empty circles that we are hoping to fill in this year. This year, we are requesting $5,000 in grant monies to allow us to be able to afford to fill in the weathered and worn landscaping and to allow us to fill the remaining 5 empty pedestrian circles with the same Mediterranean palms. But our plans don't stop with landscaping. For this year, we're calling our community improvement project Educate, Communicate, and Celebrate. Our professional management company, HOA Management, is extremely well respected, and in partnership with them, our board will participate in educational sessions that allow us to learn about new and frequently cited regulations. When we are educated, the lessons that we learn from the board and at the board level, excuse me, will be transmitted to the greater community via posters, bi-monthly newsletters, email blasts, and casual meetings with our community members.
We have a bulletin board immediately next to the mailboxes, and in addition to newsletters and emails, we want to use this as a means to connect further with our community members. We're developing something called the Turning Point Trading Post. So if someone has a used sofa or is looking for a bicycle, that's the place they're going to go to find those materials. Last year, on November the 2nd, our community hosted its first ever community event to celebrate our quarter-century birthday. Everyone in the community loved that event. To that extent, we have already planned, and we hope that we can go forward with this, another community event for October 24th. Obviously, that plan is subject to whatever situation we're living under at the time. We're going to have resources available, as we did last year, to allow people to find it easier to register their pets and do things like that, rather than going down to the community office, which is about 8 miles away. We also have a magician living in our neighborhood, and he is graciously volunteering his time. He was the hit of the parade last year, and he's agreed to bring his talents back to our community. The people who benefit from this grant will be the entire community, and it'll give a sense of completeness to the project we undertook in 2019 and 2020. All our community members will benefit from enhanced property values and the aesthetic appeal of our common areas. Everyone will benefit if we are able to use grant funds for the enhancements to the property, as we will not have to use reserve funds that are held by the community for these enhancements. Using reserve funds for things like landscaping is unwise in a 25-year-old community with aging infrastructure and planned refurbishments, such as painting the long community wall on Tenaya Way. On behalf of all of us in Turning Point, we thank you for the time that you have spent in preparing for and listening to our proposal. We know that if we're granted a grant again this year, our community will enjoy a sense of pride in being able to work together to educate, communicate, and celebrate. And P.S. thanks to Alma. She's great. That concludes our prepared remarks.
Okay. Member Gail Quayle, Chair, thank you very much. Open up now for questions from the board.
This is Member Stonebarger. In the, thank you for your presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed you over there.
You're welcome. In the presentation, it was stated it was five palm trees in 5 circles. In
Yes.
the application, it was 4, but it is 5?
It is 5. I apologize if that's a misprint. It should be 5.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you for correcting it.
Member Gail Quayle, Chair. Chance, you were next.
Member Bonaventura, quick question. So what's the cost for the rock replacement, and then what's the cost for just the fan palms?
The palms alone, I'm trying to do the math in my head. I believe that the palms alone are something on the order of $250 a piece. And then the
with
remainder would be, we got a sort of a block bid, if you will, from our landscaper, and that's about what we came up with. Last year, the palms, I want to say, were $250 a piece, and we got 8 of them.
Yeah, if you could, I don't know if it was submitted or if I just didn't see it. If you could give us a breakdown of what cost is for each one, so what the palm tree cost installation would be, and then the rocks separately.
We had just a tight time window to get this grant together. In fact, I only had 2 days to get the grant together. And so we asked our partner landscaping service to provide us with some ideas and to provide us with a way to get to $5,000. We knew that we needed the palms. We knew that we needed the landscaping rock. But we did not specifically ask for a breakdown.
Okay, yeah, if you could give that to Alma before
Oh, sure,
our next
absolutely.
meeting,
That's
that would
easy to
be-
do.
that
But
would be
again, the
helpful.
time was a matter of time
Yeah,
was the problem
no, not a
earlier
problem.
this year.
Thank
so.
you.
Gail Quayle, Chair. Any other comments, questions? Gail Quayle, I just had a quick question. I just wanted to clarify. You've talked about a few different things being done in here, but as far as for the grant, the monies are all for just the landscaping part of it?
That is
I
correct.
just want to make sure, okay.
That is correct. That's all we're asking monies for. And we also wanted to do the other things for the community and get the grant monies to do the things like the ponds and the landscaping, rather than have the residents in our community use our community resources for that. It would kind of complete the project that we began last year.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you
all
very
very
much.
much.
Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you.
Gail Quayle, Chair. Our next presentation will be from Desert Racket Club, HOA. And just to note that I am on the board of Desert Shores, so I will be asking Member Schulman to take over, Vice Chair, for this one, and handle that. And I think Greg Toussaint, Member Toussaint, will also.
Yes, Greg Toussaint, member. I am going to abstain because my wife is actually on the board of directors of the Master Association, of which the Racket Club is a part.
This is Brian Scott, City Attorney. Just for the record, I did indicate to Chairman Quayle and to Member Toussaint that even though they can sit here during the meeting, they won't be asking any questions, and they won't participate in the consideration of any awards to this particular applicant.
So I'll just welcome him and turn it over to Larry. I'd like to welcome Desert Shores Racket Club, HOA. Gail Quayle, Chair, and I will be, our Vice Chair will be taking over this as I serve on the Master Board for Desert Shores. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Gail. Larry Schultz, Vice Chair of the Board. Welcome to our session. Thank you for coming down. And you'll have 5 minutes to do your presentation. And are you going to be doing the presentation yourself?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so please introduce yourself and please proceed with the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Smith. I'm one of the 3 members here from the Desert Shores Racket Club. Good afternoon, and thank you for another cool Vegas day. Desert Shores Racket Club is made up of approximately 195 residents, and it's an independent HOA within Desert Shores. One of the amenities that we have, as you look at page 2 here, is that we have 7 docks with 6 slips each. However, we have power and water source that's 30 years old. The power is on 1 dock, and as a result, we have 42 slips and 7 boats and about a half dozen paddle boats. The grant that we're asking for is to promote and improve the safety, which I'll get into in a minute, the beauty, and increase community involvement, which has been expressed by the members of the community. As I said, everything here is about 30 years old and hasn't been improved since. An example of safety here, it may be a little hard to see, but where you see the pontoon boat, there's a little line going across. That's an extension cord coming across the water. They don't have an extension cord long enough to come down and go around to the boat. Others, whether they use grounded extensions or others, if they're fortunate enough to live on the lake, they run them across. It creates a bit of a trip hazard, and we've got a safety hazard, and it diminishes the usage of the green belt. The consensus in conversations with members of the community is that they want to improve that. They want to have bollards that are at each of the 7 docks that will provide power and water. And that way it'll be underground. It'll come from the sail club and go 550 feet, 600 feet up the shore and be buried. and a bollard will be there that will provide the power, water, as well as be a safe light source. We have heard from a number of residents who say, well, I'm not going to acquire a boat or use the lake until I have the ability to support the boat and use it. And that's why we need the power coming across. The benefits will be safety, a safe source of power. It'll be compliant with code. It'll be improved beauty. It'll look a lot better. And enjoyment for all. People who walk, there's about a half dozen people a night who walk along the green belt. They won't have the trip hazard. There'll be a bollard that's similar to that which is shown on the south end of Lake Jacqueline. They'll provide light, so it improves that safety. So in summary, all work will be done by licensed electrical and plumbing services. The trenching, which will make everything underground, will be hidden. The bollards will be much more appealing, provide safe power, safe water, provide lighting so that when people walk along the shore, they have the ability to avoid hazards and increase the enjoyment of the lake. And the cost estimates range, we have 2 vendors from which we'll select one, between $30,000 and $37,000. Thank you. Open for any questions.
Mr. Vice Chair, your mic's not on. Your mic's not on. There you go.
Okay. Larry Schultz, Vice Chair. I'll turn it over to any board members that have questions. Chance Bonaventura?
Member Bonaventura. So 2 questions. Are the dogs currently open to the public? Can I bring a public boat out there or have my public boat out there?
No, they're not. They're within the gated community, so they're
You have to live within the community to use the
be
dog?
one of the 195 homeowners.
And then currently, who's responsible for the maintenance of the outlets and the water right now?
Desert Shores Racket Club, HOA.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Other members, questions? Okay, then I'll just follow up with one. The volunteer hours that you have pledged to participate in the project, you have 375 volunteer hours. Can you tell the board what it is you will be doing for that? Just a short summary.
It's going to be working with selecting one of the 2 vendors. It's a little complicated, involving all the plumbing and electrical and coordinating with the city and the inspectors, and then the installation and the end result, tying it in and promoting it to the community.
Okay. And it looks like you're going to be contributing a substantial amount of cash from the association, is that correct?
Correct.
And that's in what fund in the association?
Beg pardon?
Is that in your reserve funds, or where is that?
It's in our reserves fund. We have in excess of $30,000 in the boat slip reserve fund. We have 3 reserve funds, all 195 in the association, another amount in the 135 townhomes, and then the boat slips have their own reserve fund. In the reserve fund, the boat slips around 32,000 right now.
Okay. Thank you. Again, any other questions from any of the board members? Okay, thank you for a well-prepared and very clear and understandable presentation and supporting documentation.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a
Thank you.
good rest
Thank
of
you
your
for your
day.
consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gail Quayle, Chair. Our next presentation will be Minetta Lane HOA.
Alma Strada with staff? Oh. They turned it off for me. Okay, administrative staff, Moneta Lane HOA were not able to come, so I'm rescheduling them for the 20th. Another comment I wanted to make, the corrections you guys need will not, our next meeting is the 6th, which is Monday. There's not enough time for them to get that stuff to us because we are off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So would you like the stuff emailed to you guys, or you want me to bring it on the 20th so you can see they made the corrections? How would you like it? The corrections for...
Gail Quayle, Chair. Which corrections? For the ones that we just requested in the other presentations?
Larry Schultz, Vice Chair, I would prefer them just to be emailed so that we have time to study it before the meeting, rather than just come in with the full agenda. So just by clarification, Alma, you're saying Moneta Lane is coming next week, right?
The 20th. So you have a whole weekend break. So the 6th is our next meeting.
They're coming,
When are you going to deliver it? Oh, they're going to come on the 20th when we're deliberating. Before you do that.
Oops, I'm sorry. Can we, City Attorney Brian Scott, can we?
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Gail Quayle, Chair. Yeah, let's just clarify that. I'm sorry, our next meeting is Monday, the 6th, for the remaining presentations.
Right, correct.
But they're not coming on that day? They're coming
No.
on the 20th?
On the 20th, yes. So they will be the only group on the 20th before you guys start to deliberate.
now, why is it they can't come next week? Larry Schultz.
There's some medical...
Okay.
But Gail Quayle, Chair, we could have that documentation before the 20th, though. They could get you that documentation before the 20th, which
No.
you could get to us.
This has nothing to do with the corrections you want right now for Beverly
Oh, okay,
Green.
okay, sorry, okay.
Beverly Green and Turning Point, you want corrections for them. I can get those probably corrections to you by email in between the timeframe. I wouldn't be able to get them to you by Monday, is what I'm saying.
But Gail Quayle, Chair, we don't need them by Monday because those are the we would need them by the 20th.
Okay.
And plenty of time by the 20th, though.
So am I correct? I'm emailing this stuff to you guys?
Sure.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, when they, City Attorney Brian Scott, when she does that, we also need the clerk to have a copy, just because the
Yes.
clerk, when they publish, needs to have all the information that you're considering. So at the same time, you'll
I will.
also, and if you could do me a favor and not respond to all, I don't know if you send them all in one email to each of the members separately, or if you send them in a group email, please remember that under the open meeting law, you're not to confer outside of the public meeting. So if she sends them to you, don't comment to the email, just accept the information, and then we'll put it on the record on the 20th.
Got it? Okay. All right, so we ready for the last group?
Gail Quayle, Chair, so now we will be, the next presentation will be Las Vegas Meadows Community Crusaders. Gail Quayle, Chair. I'd like to welcome you here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're a little bit different situation, so we're going to try and raise our hands if we're speaking to help identify who's speaking to you. It's a little hard sometimes. And you'll have 5 minutes for your presentation, and then we'll have another 5 minutes for questions from the board.
Okay.
I would like to ask you to introduce yourself to start with, and then anytime that you speak again, to please also state your name for the record.
All right,
to
thank you.
identify.
My name is
Thank you.
Kathleen Bienenstein with the Las Vegas Meadows Community Crusaders.
You can start. Thank you very much.
All right. I included in our presentation what we did with last year's grant money. We had funds for 3 events. And does this turn by itself, or do I do it? Our resident extravaganza, which is our big deal, we have 338 homes in our community, and we had 200 residents attend the event. This year's theme, last year's theme was Hollywood-type Oscars thing. This is a picture of all the volunteers getting ready. This is what our decorations look like after the volunteers put everything together. Our front lobby, and then we had an actual red carpet out in the sidewalk to welcome the guests. And these are people enjoying themselves that night. This was our entertainer, Mario. Then we handed out Oscars for best couple, best house, because people dressed up their houses for the event and everything. And this is just some more. We had a photo booth. And then we also had money for the New Year's Eve event. 62 residents showed up for that. It was a Roaring 20s theme. We also had live entertainment and lots of dancing and everything for New Year's Eve. People had a lot of fun. And then casino night. This was our first official one, but we had a smaller one in previous years, and everybody was excited about this one. And we did decorations for it. We had games and, prizes. This year, we're our resident extravaganza, which is the event we're asking for funds. We expect at least 200 people to show up for this. This year's theme is a Western Roundup. We're having the food catered by a barbecue place. We'll have live music from a band, and we're setting up a little jail in case anybody gets smart and they have to go to jail that night. This is examples of some of the decorations we want to purchase. And there's the little jail, and the entrance will be set up at the door to the clubhouse. The tables, and then the little saloon would be the entrance to where the food is. And that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd open it up to questions from the board.
Larry Schultz, Vice Chair, Ward 6. So I do have, I need to understand something. What is the relationship between the organization that's submitting the application that is referred to as Community Crusaders Las Vegas Meadows versus Las Vegas Meadows, which I understand is a commercial for-profit company? What is the exact relationship?
Okay, Kathleen Bienenstein, Las Vegas Meadows. The community is owned by the Thesman Corporation, and it's Las Vegas Meadows Limited. They own several manufactured home communities. And the Community Crusaders are a group of the residents who volunteer to do events and organizations. And we have little offshoot groups, like Crusaders actually, because we're a 55-plus community, some of the residents are quite elderly. We have residents in their late 80s and 90s, and they need assistance maybe to hang their sunscreens and things like that on the house, and the Crusaders do those kinds of things as well. Somebody will call, they need batteries changed in their fire or smoke alarms. We do all of that, for, just as neighbors. That's what we do. They need light bulbs changed. That's what the Community Crusaders do. So we thought this kind of like residents extravaganza is kind of like a thing to bring the whole community together, to let them know that we're there to help them.
Okay, so just again, just to make sure I understand, and I think I had some of these same questions last year. So you're Christy, right?
No, I'm Kathleen.
You're Kathy. So do you work for Las Vegas Meadows?
No, I don't. I just live there.
Then I noticed that in the detailed backup, Christy. Now, Christy has 40 hours pledged. Is she an employee of Las Vegas Meadows?
Actually, she is, yes. She's the activity director, and everything we do has to go through her and her office. We just can't say we're going to do something. It has to come through.
So is your organization considered independent from the commercial entity Las Vegas Meadows?
Oh, yes.
But you have to go through them.
Well, because we're using the clubhouse. It's I don't know how to explain it. We have activities, like if people want to get together and play canasta, for example, and like, say, 10 residents say, let's have a canasta thing. We just go make sure the clubhouse is available and we go do canasta. But the Crusaders, when we're doing something like this, because it shuts down access to the communities, the clubhouse, for anybody who doesn't want to attend, we need to make sure we schedule things that have that amount of people.
So that's strictly a facilities clearance issue? It's not an
Correct.
issue where they're organizing or directing the scope of the event. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so let me come back here. So is the work that Christie is doing, the 40 hours, one person week of labor, is she doing that in time while she's on the payroll for the commercial organization, or is that done outside of her normal work schedule?
Kathleen Venestein, Las Vegas Meadows. I believe it's outside of her normal schedule because she does, like when we need the decorations and that type of ordering, she handles all of that. We don't actually go and do that because we don't want any resident to have any money out of pocket for this because it's an event for them. Like, for example, I won't go to Oriental Trading and buy all the decorations for an event that I don't know if I'm getting reimbursed for. So Christie could do that with her corporate card and things like that.
See, this is, quite honestly, that doesn't sound like it's volunteer work. That sounds like she's doing that within the scope of her commercial job.
Okay.
Can you please get a clarification about that and provide it to staff, to
Certainly.
Alma? Because I think, that just raises some questions here.
Well, there's no issue leaving Christie out of the loop, to be honest with you. Alma and I have discussed that when I went to the initial meeting. Alma and I discussed leaving Christie out of the loop.
Well, then she would need to be removed from the volunteer hours as well.
Yes,
Then
yeah,
that would
and
have
we
to
will
be
find somebody to
resubmitted.
fill that void.
Yeah, okay.
'Cause there are
Very good.
plenty of
So if that's the case, then please resubmit the volunteer
I
sheet
will.
as well. Thank you.
Gail Quayle, Chair. Any other questions or comments? No. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, and good luck.
Thank you.
Member Toussaint, can I direct a question to the city attorney? Is there any special guidance we should have in a situation like this? Because it's a little uncomfortable, because there is a financial entity involved in this who really has ownership of the whole thing.
City Attorney Brian Scott, I didn't want to jump in, but I don't know if the person who she was talking about resides in the community, or if so she's just the manager. She could be doing things on her off hours that may be considered volunteer hours, especially if she knows a lot of the residents personally. She may be volunteering her own personal time to do this. So maybe that's something that Alma could follow up with her and determine exactly if they're on work hours that she's being paid for by this management company, or if these are off hours that she's volunteering.
Right, because
If
it
that's
is,
the case, you could consider it to be part of the volunteer
there's some of
hours.
our bylaws talk about doing funding work that is the responsibility of the association.
Right.
And is
But
that,
that may fall out of her job category. She's just managing, collecting rent, doing repairs, things of that
Okay.
nature. The party planning aspects of it, or helping people with light bulbs and things like that, may not really truly be within her scope of work, and maybe something she enjoys doing because she knows the residents are elderly, or she's just volunteering times on weekends or nights or things of that nature.
so you're comfortable with it?
I am. I mean, if Alma can clear up exactly if
If
she's
you are, I am. I'm
maybe
not an
doing
attorney.
off-hour work, because as a manager, you work probably more than 40 hours during the week. Some of that stuff is volunteer since you don't get paid for it. So if those are things that she's maybe doing on her off hours, just because she enjoys the residents, that could be considered as part of the volunteer hours.
Thank you.
Yeah, and again, Larry Schultz, that's why I asked for the clarification if this was being done as part of her normal duties or off hours, and I think we need to get that clarification. But when I look at her CV, which is available on the internet, she's the activities director of Las Vegas Meadows. The activities director, inherent in that, is leading activities such as the Crusaders. And quite honestly, I think the Crusaders may have been created, based on some comments made a year ago or more, as a way around this commercial entity engagement. And so I'm just concerned about it as, we're spending taxpayer money here, and I think we need a clarification just to assure ourselves that we're doing good things here. And what I would be worried about is this an image enhancement or marketing program for this commercial entity, which owns many of these communities in the southwestern United States.
And City Attorney Brian Scott, and maybe Alma can get that clarification, because I think, when I think of activities director, I think of the person who's organizing maybe the shopping for the day or the canasta tournament, but not necessarily the person who's going into each individual unit and helping to repair, smoke detectors. I don't know if the management contract calls for them to repair smoke detectors. So if Alma can maybe get a clarification as to exactly what this management person is doing, if she's doing it on her off hours or her work hours. And then I know that the representative indicated that they would make a modification to their application so that that person was taken out of the mix and they were taking on the volunteer hours.
Then once she's pulled out, then the issue is the volunteer commitment sufficient in and of itself then to support the funding request? So it's kind of like the wire coat hanger, bend it this way, the other end flips up, and then we have another issue.
Yeah, City Attorney Brian Scott, they would have to make up those hours that management person was volunteering in order to meet your hours.
Alma, we need
Okay, Alma
clarification.
Strata staff. Okay, two things. Crusaders, that's how they registered as an association years ago. So it's always been like that, Las Vegas Meadows Crusaders, okay? I don't know how it started, because I'm not the one that registered them, so I don't know, but it's been years since how they started their association. And then I will have them, they're going to redo their volunteer hours and remove her from it, so they only show that it's the volunteers. I think Brian had a point. She just does activities so that the community gets engaged and they don't get left behind, and they get to do fun stuff, and so I think that's what she does. But I will get the hours redone, and I will send them to you guys. And I don't know, okay? We're okay with that? We're good? Sure.
I thought I was. Now I'm on. Could you speak to how their project went last year? How successful was it, and were you comfortable with it?
I was, because they sent a lot of pictures.
Pardon me?
They sent a lot of pictures of all the different activities they
Oh,
did.
so you weren't there?
No, I couldn't make it to that because, as we said, we're short-staffed. But yes, they did submit pictures. They did, you can tell they were all having fun. The people were there.
Good. Madam Chair?
If you want me to.
I'm getting the evil eye from the clerk, so a nice evil eye. But she was just indicating we're kind of getting into the consideration aspect of it. So we'll make those, we'll get that clarification that you wanted, and we'll go from there.
Gail Quayle, Chair, I would like to, we do have one more comment that I think is fair because she's been waiting.
Yes, just with all due respect, I just want to say that in my experience, oftentimes when we visit different communities and there's on-site coordinators, they actually do more than what's expected of them. And I wouldn't be surprised that this person is someone who often goes around and help residents, and often they give up a portion of their holidays and time with their families to spend with residents. So I just wanted to give that input that they actually, from what I've seen in my 12 years experience here on the city council, that they do way more than what's required of them. So I'm just giving them a plug, kind of a shout out.
Thank you, Gail Quayle, Chair. So Alma, you will get the requested information, and then this will continue on July 20th in our deliberations. Thank you.
And City Attorney Brian Scott, just to make sure that Jackie also receives copies of those.
Yes, Jackie will get a copy. Did you want a copy as well, Scott?
Sure, I'll take it.
Okay,
Thank you.
I will send both of you the copy. Thank you.
Gail Quayle, Chair. So we are back to the agenda and citizens' participation. We don't have any, do we? Oh, just read it? Okay. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the board. No subject may be acted upon by the board unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come forward and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. no public, no citizen participation. So our next meeting is Monday, July 6th, and we adjourn. Do I need a motion for adjourn? No, I can just adjourn it? Okay. Yay, I love that. 4:46.